Little Saturday morning video. Welcome back to Tyler Talks, where I talk. You just take it in, baby. So I showed this deck on Discord. We already have Justin and Jay playing a game for the new set. I just got everything ready to go. So we are going to have a play testing Saturday. I'm going to be playing until 5 or 6 o'clock this evening. So I'm about to go full mode playtesting all day, recording games, taking notes. But I had this video up, or this deck up last night to do a video. It was getting too late to start a video. The other being that I wasn't really wanting to do a video on this. If it wasn't like exactly what I envisioned, and I was like, well, you know what? It's still different. And I've been talking about a defense like this with Shield in both add to battles and to where strong enhancements. So I do like it. Jeremy played a deck similar last year with trying to get just an early transfiguration to where he could put down Moses, and he also has Salty. He had 3 times, and so I said before, this isn't anything against Jeremy at all. I'm just saying from the point of timed wins or timed ties, those equate into a loss depending on how much you get. So for example, Jeremy had two timed wins and a timed tie. So that's 2 points per timed win. So that's 4 points. He had 2 timed wins, and then he had a timed tie, which is a 1.5. So right there, he had 5.5 points in 3 games. If I play 2 games and win, I'm ahead of Jeremy, even though he has 3 games, and 2 of them they were like 4-0 and 4-1. So for those, I don't think they were Jeremy's doing. He's a fast player, and he goes pretty much directly into his attacks. The other aspect being he has Salty and Moses. You're not doing a lot of territory class stuff on him, so there's that as well. So I just want to keep that in mind. I'm using that as an example. Jeremy, being such a great player, had the times in Nationals, and he actually lost the Nationals title by 0.5, even though he beat Nick Marshall. So keep that in mind. If your opponent's going slow, call over a judge. State, regionals, nationals, really any tournament, but call over a judge, and you'll let your opponent know as well. Hey, you got to progress. I was watching the footage from Jaden's last video, his posties getting out of hand, which is really cool. And he was playing Rob Smith. Awesome player, awesome deck builder. Rob and I talk just about every day. He's a playtester as well, so we talk about the new set and strategy. Rob and I were always talking, and when I was watching the game, he was playing against Jaden. You could tell he was like, every time I play against you, I already knew he had 3 dominants in his hand based on the information he gave, and then he was wondering about how to go about his attack. He seemed like he had a lot of options, which is good, but it caused a lot of, what do I do here? And from a game perspective, that's where you got to be like, hey, you got to progress. So Rob, I would have been like, hey, you got to make something. But then what happens is you start getting in your own head that you got to make a decision. So that's what the Lackey Grand Prix are for, is going in there and figuring it out. And just how are you going to work that deck? For Rob, it's one of his first times playing a new deck. So that's another thing. So just be mindful of time as we're coming into the tournament season. So that's kind of why I wanted to make a video. The other aspect, Justin's been doing very well with Murderous Command, Warrior Overtaken, and Shield. I believe he has Shield as well. I've talked about this defense for 2 years, where you can run both of these dominants and Shield, or both of these dominants and Gates of Hell, and you're just getting add to battle, and you're blocking. So a lot of time people are focused on the battle doms from an offensive perspective. Your offense can crack through. Your defense, however, can't always block. So this is 51 cards. It could easily get down to 50. I think you probably take out an enhancement. I added New Covenant. I didn't have New Covenant. I did a lot of like a similar to Jeremy's build. Um, I did have his deck list up. The initial idea I had was I wanted to show something different. Like, sure, there's 4 disciples in here. I just wanted to show something different that I thought was really strong offensively. And we get access to one of the best enhancements in the game. And we go band to a Roman, band to a Roman. So this is how I originally had it planned out. Cornelius, and Cornelius can band to Reassuring or Angelic. And then I can go to, if I go to Reassuring, I can go to any of my disciples. Angelic protects human New Testament heroes, so my entire offense, from discard and capture. So not bad at all. We're seeing some Seized by Babylon. We're seeing just some CBN evil characters, like Tenet kills his son right there. That's a capture. That's a discard. We're seeing Naaman and Nicodemus in defenses. That's very good. Josh put that out there to where you have Nicodemus and Naaman to where you essentially, depending on who you block with, all your enhancements in your deck are CBN, depending on how you block. So Angelic Visitor comes out, grants you the protection, and then he discards himself. It's very hard to stop. You're going to have to prevent his ability. And then he goes to Peter. So I was going to go here to Peter, and then Peter can band to anyone. However, and this is where I was getting all excited, because then I was going to go Andrew, I was going to negate characters, and then Andrew, I was going to negate enhancements. Or I can go Matthew and John, and I have all these interrupt, regardless of protect, big discard, interrupt, negate all, interrupt over here. So I was really excited. I had this, like, I can toss the first and have a Meek hero in battle, have another Clay hero in battle, have 2 golds. I was just pumped. I still can do that, but Cornelius doesn't like other people. He only likes axe people. So that's why this is called the Disciples' Last Act. Now I have Matthias in here. He's, I believe to my knowledge, the only GOC card that's not in the Gospels. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And that's because the 11 at this point, the disciples, this is after Judas gave back the 30 pieces of silver, and he hung himself after betraying Jesus. And did you know the going rate for a slave was 30 pieces of silver? That was the absolute cheapest rate. That was the minimum you can buy a slave. Back at that time, if you were going to buy a slave, it was 30 pieces of silver, and that was the lowest rate. So Judas betrayed Jesus for the lowest amount that you could do on the market. Isn't that crazy? And then Judas hung himself, and then Matthias was chosen. I believe they're casting lots by the disciples, but Matthias was chosen to replace, and that's why he is in Gospels of Christ, because it has all the disciples, and that is why he is Acts as well, because it didn't happen until after pretty much all the Gospels end with each chapter ends with the resurrection, crucifixion, resurrection, and the ascension. So then Matthias comes in afterwards. And they drew lots for them, and the lot fell to Matthias. So there you go. So I could actually band in Matthias through Ascension, or just band him in through Peter, and his ability actually works. So this is a great band if I can go Ascension, and I already have Matthias through like Send the Helper. Then I can band and then play Ascension and bring in Matthias. So he still works, and I get a bounce. So it's not bad. I still like the band, and I also like banding in these characters, reserving an evil enhancement from a deck, and reserving an artifact or evil fortress from a deck is still nice, and I still get the negate and the negate evil characters. So I still like it. It's cool. And then I still have T-Fig that works, and Now, I don't care that Cornelius, like if I play Transfiguration, he's going to negate Moses coming in. I still get the Elijah and Glory and Moses. So if I was going to use Transfiguration on Cornelius, that's okay. Most of the time it's going to be on my disciples. It's just for first turn where I'm getting a strong attack on Matthew, where usually you don't see that. All my enhancements are good. And then the only one I can't use on Matthew, Amazing Faith. But I should have enough resources to have strong attacks consistently. And then I have the add to battles here. And I really like Philistines. I still have the Philistine garrison that I can get with Armor Bearer or Warrior Overtaken. And I can bringing in a Protect this card from Lone Heroes is really good. And especially when I have 2 discards here. And potentially I can get rid of another one of heroes. So I'm trying to get rid of a few heroes. Bringing in a protection on an add to battle is very good, especially with heavy negates. And then having yet again another add to battle is very nice. So I don't have a ton of Philistines to add to battle though with Garrison. That's kind of the issue. Is I would have to block with like Super Silly or Outsiders with Garrison as a fortress if I want. But if I bring him in on add to battle, I can't bounce him. So it's just a matter of usually I'm going to bring him in on the add to battle with Warrior Overtaken, but I can add a Philistine. So I do have 3 other options. I like Priest of Zeus in here because he's CBI. If I get him turn 1 with Darkness, it's okay that he's down and then Moses comes down. Or if I just get him and then Moses comes down afterwards, he cannot be interrupted and he just chills in territory. And now I have a Priest of Zeus and Moses going. That's very good. And then my territory class enhancements, High Priest Plot, I'll say 99% of the time I'm wanting to play in battle. I like playing it outside. Reserving a good card from opponent's hand is very good. Also, I get like if I need to, I can negate Nazi or something. But for this defense, it's fine to just negate a card and have protection on these characters. And if Moses isn't down, I still get the hand hit. It's fine. Go Away is CBP. There's enough ways to get Philistines out quickly. And Go Away is cannot be prevented if used by Philistines. So that works through Moses and gives me a big bounce for my Meeks when I only have Send the Helper. I'm still torn on Resurrection because I don't get to, like I always say, maximize a card. I don't get to maximize a card in this because I don't have a good Gospel Fortress. I could have Herod's Temple. It's just a matter of it's nice. Herod's Temple is good to have. It protects 2 of my Romans and all but 1 of my disciples. It doesn't protect my angels. It doesn't protect Moses. So it probably should still be in here. I can't use it on my defense, which is okay. It's just the overall value I got, even though it's super easy to get out. And Peter with Herod's Temple is a good attack. I just couldn't get it out there. Negating evil characters with just a Roman, having an Amazing Faith and activating Herod's Temple is good, but most of the time I'm just going to play Amazing Faith. So I'm back and forth on Resurrection. It's just so good to get out John. I also have Peter in here as well that I can get, but it's just good to have in John, and then if you can band in John and Matthias with the Resurrection, it's good. The other aspect you'll see that I've talked about, I think just once, but I really like it and I don't see it, is playing Ascension into Humble Seeker. Pretty much you only see Ascension into Paul. So Ascension, you get to interrupt the battle. So we have 2 Play a Lost Soul from a deck too, which is something I really like. So we have interrupt the battle, play a Clay Hero from reserve. We know what this does, but most of the time you're just bringing in Paul, which is good here because of Axe. Like we could easily have Paul. I like bringing in a CBP hero. I also like bringing in someone that can exchange from multiple locations. Matthias is still a 7/7 if I want to exchange from reserve. And then I get protection, usually I'm going to flip a couple heroes. So I'm going to have multiple heroes that are protected. Lost Souls are going to be protected from an evil brigade, and it cannot be prevented. So I get to interrupt and then have CBP protection that also more than likely goes away because he's going to reserve or discard pile. So I actually like Humble Seeker. And if you discard Peter or John, I'm bringing them right back in with big numbers as Meek, and then I'll just bounce them after that. So I actually really like that play. It's sneaky. On a big band where 2 or 3 heroes are essentially CBN protected, that's extremely good. I have Peter Sermon in here. We're seeing overtaken, so I have a regardless of protect, convert a human evil character to a clay hero. If used by Peter, do this twice so I can pop 2 Herods and back them up with negates and interruption stuff. That's about it. Ends of the Earth gets through Nazi. Do have Patmos in here. So it's very consistent. It's pretty fast. It's just a solid little deck that's different. So from here, top deck a good dominant from deck. You'll see something that Jay's doing. And I don't know if I've talked about it in a video. Jay and I talked about it on the phone before. So unless you guys are tapping in on our calls, you didn't hear it. Top deck. There's a lot of top decking really good cards from GOC. And there's play a Lost Soul from a deck. So what I have in here, I just have one of them. I want both, but I have Shepherds in here. I don't have Grumbled. And maybe Prosperity comes out. I know that's crazy, but maybe Prosperity comes out. I always have a tough time with Prosperity, triggering it. Like just discarding a card from my hand. Because decks are built so tight. It's like, man, I want that. There's very few options I can discard with Prosperity for a draw 2. And so maybe Prosperity comes out for Grumbled. We also care about Lost Souls coming out turn 1. So we want the star abilities. We want Ascension, Amazing Faith, and top deck, like John the Fisherman top decks. So we want to be able to top deck good dominants or heroes and play a Lost Soul. Oh yeah, you can't top deck and play a Lost Soul because you searched twice. So one of your searches are going to go in between that. If that doesn't make sense, if I have Amazing Faith and Transfiguration, I can top deck a good dominant, right? And then I can play a Lost Soul from a deck. Well, I had to shuffle prior to because it's a search. So doesn't work. Sorry. Went on a tangent for no reason. Your Lost Souls would have to be in play first. So Amazing Faith wouldn't matter. Like playing a Lost Soul doesn't matter. Grumbled and Shepherds would have to be drawn naturally and waiting to trigger for your stars. So then you would get your stars, that top deck, and you would do your best top deck, because if you do 2 it shuffles, you do your best top deck, and then you activate your star ability. So that's the correct play. I didn't talk about it, but if I absolutely have to, I think I have 2. I have Unsuccessful, Tenets, and Stricken. So if I absolutely have to, I do have 2 extra gray characters. So that kind of stuff's important. We are going to see, I think, a shift a little bit where you're going to have more dual alignment enhancements in a deck. And those decks, anything that has access to dual alignment enhancements and more of them, they are just naturally stronger. I did a video with someone. I don't know when it'll come out, but that was a key point that we talked about, and that I actually really like that video. I'm excited to see the end result. Okay, if I don't get to go first, I'm feeling really good. I can take. So if I look at my build, like we have a Malachite Slave in main deck, and we can't get Foreign Wives in reserve this turn. But I do have access to Goliath turn 1, and I have access to an add to battle where I go a Malachite Slave, and I can add anyone else I want into battle. And then I have a negate protect and an additional dominant. So I feel really good if I have to block. I also have access to herdsmen because they would get a massive draw, and I don't care because I have so much access to herdsmen that I can match their draw with Matthew, unless they had like ways to Patmos or ways to Matthew, and then put down Nazi, and then attacked with Matthew or had Stricken in their hand, um, and then attacked with Matthew. That would also stop me during the next battle phase. So yeah, they would play theirs, show their Stricken. My deck would be protected. So anything like that would really hinder me there. So I would still have a falling away though. So I feel like I have really good blocks here for turn one, like having the negate, the add to battle, the Dom block if needed, and Deceiver going into Goliath is really good. If it's my turn first, I say I still attack, where I just reserve an artifact from their deck. Like I'd be fine with that. Put Ends of the Earth in play. And I'm hoping for Amazing Faith. I didn't get it, but I'll still take Ascension. And then I'm looking at what am I about to get. So if I want, I can take Untouchable, and that means I'm drawing these three, but that's fine. So I wouldn't have anything here. More than likely, I die. And if that's my first turn, I don't get to draw or anything. If they get to do anything, I do think a Deceiver to Goliath. A lot of times that's just a block. If it's not, I still have a negate. So now we can underdeck one to draw one. I'm good with losing Deceiver. I know it's not necessarily ideal. Maybe, well, I don't need Send the Helper right now. So draw one. So from here, we can't play Ascension, but that's fine because we have T-Fig. If I wanted to, before Moses comes down, I can play High Priest Plot and reserve a good card from their hand. Since I have Bringing Fear, Murderous Command, and Falling Away, I'm actually inclined to do that. And that way I get the hand look. What sucks is I don't have a Toss the Next. Like, I don't like that. And then before I play anything, I add my Ends, and I will take that Amazing Faith. I could take New Covenant too. Or one or the other. I mean, I could take New Covenant or Amazing Faith. I want Amazing Faith though, because I'm about to bring in Moses. So if they do anything, I get the protection and the negate all. Of course, I wish I had a toss first, but that would be it. So then banish this card, and poof. If needed to, I have Amazing Faith. What's nice is I could always, what was it? Like if I have a Meek hero in battle, like if this was Matthew, I could play Transfiguration. I could still play Ascension in battle because it's CBN if it's used by Meek hero. So the deck just like works together. And then we're good from our perspective of doing anything. We still feel good. Like if they're drawing, and now we have Salty and Moses down. If they're drawing, we do have the Foreign Wives ad or the Murderous Command ad. They still have to get around a Goliath, and if they do get around a Goliath, like with a Bringing Fear, if they do, like Angel of Lordum, and we just go into a Murderous Command, and then what do we want here? I kind of like going um, Herdsman just because I can then go straight to depending on what they did. If they used a draw ability, I can draw. If they used a search ability, I could take. So it depends. A lot of times they've done both, so I get the both. But I would do a Herdsman if I could go into like a card in my reserve. Um, and they are take a card from reserve. Just doing like set design, like designing cards for 3 years. I think it's 3 years now. Um, we would rather have a nice, clean 4 lines and open up a card a little bit more than adding in extra like Herdsman probably had the intent to take an OT black card probably from reserve. But the fact that it's a Punisher, like if you used a search ability this turn, then I get to take a card. I could also see it just being like, nah, it's fine. But the fact that it's right at 4 lines, nice and clean, good spacing right here, that's important to us. We want a line to distinguish between the ability and the scripture, even though it's different. Like you can tell, it's still a lot of wording. 3 lines of scripture, 4 lines. We want a clean break there. So, just giving a little insight. So I don't know what I would take here. It depends on what the numbers are and what kind of how initiative's going. I like grabbing Garrison if I can and just putting him down as a fortress because I still have Stricken as well. I could have really grabbed anything there. The issue with Tenets is all I had was Deceiver in my hand, so I didn't want a band. But I could have gotten a 2/4 that's a draw 2, that's a negate. So it just depends here. I mean, if I get to add the battle and then I get to reserve you and still have Falling Away, once again, I feel good. I want you to waste your best stuff. So Distress isn't going to do anything, but we don't care. Humble will work. Prosperity will not. We can bounce heroes if we want to. And I can put down Garrison as an evil fort. And now I have a couple options. So now I have a John the Fisherman that triggers, and then a Moses I can attack with. Or I can just reserve an evil enhancement from their deck and back it up with an Amazing Faith. And that's just with what I have here. I also have Reassuring Angels. If I have Reassuring Angels, I have everything. So I can go into Reassuring. I can go to Andrew, and I can negate characters and enhancements, or I can just negate enhancements, or I can go to Matthew. It really doesn't matter, assuming Matthew even works. That's why the deck's at 51. I have the extra enhancements. I like Foreign Spears right now in main deck. I really like playing Philistines with Commander Feichel, Philistine Commanders, and Saf, Prevent the Next. Like, I really like blocking like that. To where you just Commander Feichel equips, withdraw all but one, equip Saf in territory, and then there's only one hero in battle. Saf comes in, you're preventing the next and discarding a hero in battle with the weapon you just equipped. That's just a really good block that's hard to get around. So from here, we can go ahead and band. First, we got to finish the search. And this is where, even though you've seen Ascension a bunch, there's a different way to do it that gives you a lot of value. So first, we can negate evil characters and ban to a Roman, or reserve an evil enhancement from a deck. As long as they don't have deck protection, we're reserving an evil enhancement from a deck. We will show them Son of God, toss next, draw 2, Lawless is negated, and then Humble Seeker. Now we can get Matthias here if we want, but we could also get Simon Peter for 10-12. So it really just depends on, do we think we need the big numbers? Like, it's not that big of a change. So I like going to Matthias. And then we could always add in Ends of the Earth and just keep grabbing resources. You're not seeing Ends of the Earth anymore. Like, it's very rare to see because of Matthew. I don't know. It's a very good card. I guess we're seeing more. Like, I know Joe Mama, Joe Mama was playing with it because he's running Nazi, but End of the Earth getting through Nazi is really good, and the fact that Nazi's I don't know if in more builds than Matthew, but Matthew's definitely taken a back seat. As long as you have like a access to Foreign Wives turn 1, or you have a Herdsman, like if you have an answer to Matthew, then I really like Ends of the Earth in decks. It just does a lot, especially when you have missionaries. Getting the negate an evil neutral card CBI is very good. So I think that's good. I'm going to negate evil characters. I have 2 heroes that are protected. I'm tossing the next. Not bad at all. We can turn over some stuff. I don't know if I want to bounce just yet. But I don't have Sheol either. And I will say, you probably want to draw even more in this deck. So like Faith of Samuel can come in here. But you probably want to draw even more because Salty and Moses. However, if you can get Priest of Zeus down, Sheol down, and Moses, like if they draw, you're hitting them with Priest of Zeus. If they shuffle, Sheol's working, and then you have Salty and Moses. So most of their stuff isn't working outside of battle. So it's very much just slow. Since I use Amazing Faith, like maybe I bring in, I don't know, one other gold card and Akeem comes in here. But Akeem doesn't work with Moses, so I'm just trying to think like what else I could have to hinder them some. But yeah, I think this is good. I don't like showing outsiders. It depends on the board state, like how many cards. If I know I have advantage, then I could put down outsiders and just kind of show that I have it. Probably just go Deceiver. I don't like doing that either. Yeah, that one's easy. So that way if they attack, really I'm just going to go Slave, Bear, I'm going to take a weapon, and then I'm going to exchange to Golly G Giant. And I still have an add to battle here, a negate, 3 woes negate, a falling away, another negate in my hand, another negate in my hand, and a battle winner that's CBP. So this is kind of what I mean by like not getting the last video, not getting complacent on defense. Like they're gonna have to get around the Goliath, and if they Angel Lord, one, their banding's gone unless it's CBN banding. But they got to get around Goliath, and my falling away works well here. And then if they get around a Goliath, so yes, it negates ban, draw, and play. It doesn't negate search. So if you searched, if you got around Goliath somehow with negates to back him up, I can still reserve this card and add my herdsman into battle if somehow you got rid of Goliath. So now I have herdsman into battle. And if you use a search ability, I can take a card from reserve. So he still works through Goliath. I can get Garrison back again or Tenant kills. And now I have a character to band at 2. Even though Goliath's negate's ongoing, so I couldn't draw. Doesn't matter. I can potentially underdeck based on board state. So if there's anything there, if not, probably just bounce you and bounce mine and back it up with a negate. So mine come up, draw. I like keeping the battle within the battle phase, if that makes sense. I like having Sheol and add to battle and Doms that add to battle to where you are wasting. I'm using my resources too, but this guy isn't a wasted resource, and you have to constantly get around Goliath. And I could have Outpost in here. Outpost is nice. You could just always get back Goliath. I'm going to be honest. I like just blocking with Goliath every time. The opponent has to think about how they stop that. So, or how they get around them. And you're just backing it up with negates and add to battles and discards. It's very good. Like Pot of Mana with add to battles are very, very good. We're not seeing that a ton on the defense. We're seeing it offensively, like Chosen Warriors and stuff. But on the defense side, if you have Pot of Mana and you have add to battles, you are sitting pretty. If you're offense and your defense with Pot of Mana, and you don't have to play Honeypot, y'all. You can look at other things. Pot of Mana is still really good, and you can play Clay, Eliezer, and you could play Honeypot in that sense, which is Holy Holies and or the main two are Holy Holies and Pot of Mana, and then Tabernacle and Glory of the Lord, and you can play all that with Clay, which now has Glory of the Lord. But you need to inject some add to battles on that aspect. And then defense, you could also look at other ways. If you have a card that's CBP that keeps getting a CBN, that's good. But with Pot of Mana, it's kind of a built-in Goliath. Just kind of think outside the box instead of, like if you look at Jay and John, and they both did very well with Gandalf and Honeypot. What were the main components of that deck? Sure, it had CBP, CBN characters because Holy Holies was always active. But you had Pot of Mana plus Holy Holies. So if that was really hard for you to get around, or if you saw that and you're like, man, that looks tough, what else can you use Holy Holies and Pot of Mana with? And then I would go from there. So that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's the same thing. We do have Peter, and now we can start actually going in on 4 Drachma coin. That's at any time. I don't have to discard it right away. And I can just leave this active. I don't need to bounce anyone. So now I have my resources going, which took a little bit longer. But we assumed there was no drawing off herdsman ever. So that's what I was saying. Maybe I bring in a mask, whichever one it is, the interrupt draw 3 in black. Like maybe we bring in Faith of Samuel and mask and inject a little bit more speed into here. We could easily do that. Because we are getting resources, but we're not getting cards, if that makes sense. So then we have our 4 Drachma coin. Want to make sure we're not going to max out our hand. And now we're sitting in a good spot. Wish we could bounce out Moses now with go away, but we can't. We don't have Andrew, so we can snag our Andrew. If anyone died, we could get them from discard pile. That's what I'm saying. We're good at getting resources, Ends of the Earth and Patmos, and Send the Helper and Transfiguration and Ascension. Like we can grab resources, but we're not accumulating a bunch of cards. So with Jeremy's build, he had Faith of Samuel, but his big draw engine was his opponent playing Matthew, because then he would go to Herdsman. So from here now, I put down Sheol, and I know I still have one more Add to Battle to deck, which is really good. I can play the big two, it's okay. And we're missing out on Cornelius and our other Roman, which that's no fun. We like that big band to where we have access to every single one of our battle winners. That's really nice. But it is okay. From here, probably go Peter, John, show you woes, draw, and that's pretty much what I wanted, but I knew I had 11 cards in deck, and it was like more than likely if we look at our deck, I'm getting my Add to Battle or my Resurrection or like one of the heroes I want. So then as soon as they block, you're going into, and like always, we can just add Ends of the Earth. Snag that untouchable that we saw at the very beginning. As soon as we block, or they block, we're already tossing the next. If we want to, we can negate enhancements. Kind of screwed that up. I should have put down a couple cards, because I'm not going to be able to draw anything on Matthew. I'm going to want to do Matthias first, because I get the peek at 4, take 1, and then I can draw. So from here, I can reveal a good dominant to negate characters and enhancements, because I only have disciples in battle. And I can convert this card to bounce them, and their next card's tossed. And then I can, once again, reveal a good dominant to look at the top 4. And I can take up to 1. Not up to 1 good card, just up to 1. Knowing I'm just going to snag all 3 heroes, next is nice if I take Warrior Overtaken. However, I have 11 cards in my hand, and I'm going to have 12 cards in hand. If I can draw with Matthew, I'm going to draw all these anyway. Let's say Matthew didn't work or their hand was protected. I'm almost more inclined to take a hero that I can put down. Just because I have Sheol, Woes, and Falling Away. So it's a lot easier for me. I can still feel good about a block without having to Add to Battle. And not have to put a bunch down. But at the same time, I for sure have the Add to Battle next turn. So I'm just going to have to manage my hand. If Matthew doesn't get to draw any, then he doesn't get to draw any. If he does, then I'm going to take those heroes. I'd probably max out my hand, bounce their character in battle. If they have another character in battle, that's fine. I have every enhancement in my hand. So from here now, we're going to put down heroes. We're not seeing a ton of discard. I really liked what Jaden showed with Red Dragon Roots. I've talked about CBN characters before. I've always been a big proponent of them. And having Red Dragon with cannot be negated enhancements is really good. Having ROJ Red Dragon with Sin and Blasphemy going into Wrath of Satan, Satan's Wrath. How did I blank out on that card? Dragon's Wrath, I'm sorry. Is also very good if your guys are protected. If you can get a discard all, you're good. You can play Roman Destroys Jerusalem and Dragon's Wrath. We've seen that in Jaden's National video. We are not seeing discard all right now, and it's wild to me. Absolutely wild. If you can get a discard all, if you can get Roman Destroys Jerusalem and you're playing Old Testament, like Roman Destroys Jerusalem in Honeypot is really good. They're only running Zechariah, so I I don't understand why we're not seeing discard all, especially when you can negate their territory class protection. We are still not seeing mass removal cards. I talk about chipping away at their heroes, and I have ways to get rid of a few key ones. If I'm playing a deck, I'm trying to incorporate just genocide. I'm trying to incorporate mass discard. So from here, Priest of Zeus doesn't work, but it's okay. Um, Depending on board state, we could put down outsiders. We have a bunch. We don't want to put down a bunch of stuff. This is where I was talking about where our hand's kind of going to be screwed up. So yeah, this is just hand management. And honestly, I need to do a tangent on hand management one day. I think that is a lost art in the game, and it causes you a lot of decisions and stress and timing. Right now, you're just going to see throw characters down, get rid of your worst enhancement. That's kind of it. You're not even seeing, you're really not seeing decks that are built in mind for hand management. I think we're going to see a slight move to less character. I've always played pretty much 10 heroes. Like, I've always played 10. Some builds do a little more. I don't like doing more than that. I've brought it down lately to 9 or 8 heroes, and I'm adding an extra good enhancement or two. Last year, these were all over the place. These are really fun. They're strong. Thieves are only strong if you're in type 1 if you're not running a bunch of enhancements. If you're just relying on your heroes and you have an Ascension in your hand and like love one another in Ascension, that's very common. And that's all you have in your hand. Well, all I gotta do is take the Ascension, and you're sitting there with a love one another, and I can just negate it. Or I can just prevent the next to take it, you know. Now, if you have 4 enhancements in your hand, like I do, then it's like, okay, take one. I'm going to negate your characters and get that back. So you have to take my negate. Like, I'm putting you in a spot to make a decision. So I think we're going to see more dual alignment enhancements in decks. And then I think we're going to see more enhancements in general and just a couple less heroes. So let's see. From here, I'm going to be honest. I have Sheol, so Deceiver is going to stay in my hand. I like to keep a character in my hand no matter what. I like to keep that Amazing Faith in my hand. If for some reason I didn't think I needed Foreign Spears, like this is one of my Nazi counters, then I could get rid of Foreign Spears. I like just having a discarded card in their territory, especially on Super Silly. If I maintain an ish, discard a card in their territory and play unsuccessful. I have a negate all that I'm going to do with the band, so I don't like losing my interrupt. I've been forgetting to send the helper. So yeah, now I have my big band, so I'll be good here. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I pretty much, after this, I'd block with Super Silly. And I'm okay with, if they have Angel Lord, I kind of figured they would have used it on Goliath, so I simulated that. But I still have Sheol, and I still have Warrior Overtaken. So, knowing that I'm adding an Evil Philistine to battle, I'm only going to block with these two, because I want my Herdsman, or I could always bring in my Protect Alone. So, like, just kind of know where your Philly is. Being able to just take an unsuccessful and play it is good. But yeah, these add to battles all over the place. They're good, man. They're so good. You have to constantly get around. Like, you have to use an enhancement, and then I can negate it. And then you have to use another enhancement. You have to play something else, and then I go, okay, Sheol, Outsiders put you in special initiative, depending on the board state. Now you have to use another enhancement. and then let's say Sheol's gone. I banished Foreign Spears, and you used another enhancement. And then I play Warrior Overtaken. Discard a hero in your territory, and now I'm protected from loan. Or I brought in Herdsman and I grabbed resources. You're out of enhancements. You just don't have it. That's also why I'll go back to Thieves. Thieves are very, very good with add to battle. Very, very good. I haven't talked about that in videos before, which is weird because I love Demon Thieves. They are so good with add to battle. You could play Crimson Unity with Nebby and stuff like that if you want. Or you could just play Thieves Gospel Unity. You could play Demon Thieves with Gates of Hell. And since Gates of Hell doesn't, you could play Demon Thieves with Gates of Hell. And since you don't care about Gospel Unity, you can do, or just Unity in general, you can do the 2 add to battle DOMs with Gates of Hell. Look for evil add to battles. I'm telling you, I get it. There's cards that, they aren't immediate add to value, so I don't want them. Jaden and Justin and Jay, I'm just going to say it, they're all better players than most. These 3 guys are playing add to battles. Josiah Beers, he talked about dual alignment enhancements and add to battles. And insteads. I love me some insteads. If you can have dual alignments that work on your good and evil, and you can have add to battles, you're sitting there with resources for days. So what? My add to battle doesn't draw me a bunch of cards or grab resources. Like, that's fine. The fact that you just made them waste 2 or 3 good enhancements and you blocked is crazy. That is so strong. So, I think that's all I have. I went on a tangent about add to battle. I try to constantly harp on that. This is just one offense I thought was cool. Needs more drawing. It does. We want to get this band out a little quicker, and we want to get a couple of our resources out quicker. But the main point is limit what your opponent can do. Be able to take away what they can do. Demon Thieves add to battle is phenomenal with these 2 dominants. I mean, and you're not even worried about their stuff in territory. You can negate their hand protection, but look at what are the best defenses, where I can just constantly add to battle. Or do I stick with Egyptians, or do I stick with Philistines and gain Sheol? If you play black, you get all the good stuff. But if you play black, you get Sheol and Garrison if you want Outpost. And Garrison can go to reserve like I showed you. You don't need to play Moses. You can play Wages of Sin. Wages of Sin gets this out and Sheol, so you're also good there. And Christian Martyr, like if you want that, if you're not doing Choose the Blocker. Or you could take out Falling Away and Christian Martyr, and you could play Angel of the Lord and buff your offense. So I always encourage people, look at this stuff that's won in the past. What are the best cards in the game? What are the best concepts? And if my offense and my defense can use an enhancement, everyone loves Reprimand and Repercussion. If my if my deck has access to cards like 2 or 3 of those, like Philosophy, stuff like that, then I'm just like when I draw 8, I have 2 cards that I can use on my offense and my defense, and like a character of each, and probably another enhancement of each. We're dancing all day in the battle phase, and then if I can extend the battle, I'm winning all day. So I would look at the add to battle cards. We did this in another Discord, and I keep saying I'm going to make a tier video, and then I do other decks. I'm going to make a tier video, and I'm going to be tiering like top to bottom, overall themes, decks, add to battles. Like I'm going to start breaking it down into what are the best add to battle cards. What are the best dominants? So I'm going to start doing tier videos. I think that'd be really cool, and they're going to be shorter videos. And maybe I show that next week as we get into competitive season. I think that would be a really cool twist. And Jaden O's does awesome videos, and Baboony Tim is doing awesome videos. So that would be a different flavor for my channel, is doing tiers. And that way, I like talking about other things. I like going in depth on strategy talk. And Baboony Tim is showing decks, and he's breaking down stuff. So I really like what he's showing as well. And he also has a lot of beginner stuff, which is great. And he's documenting his journey as a player, which is awesome. Jaden showing you all sorts of decks and then gameplay. I think it'd be really cool for me to talk strategy, competition, how to compose yourself in a tournament, and then start talking tiers. So I'm going on an hour. I need to jump into playtesting the next set. Israel something. It is the title is still secret to my knowledge. It is Israel's something. It is amazing. The playtesters are so hyped. This is the most playtesting in a day I've seen. We are all jumping in. They're already playing games. I just wanted to get a video out today because I'm going to be going nonstop on recording and doing notes, and then making edits next week for the set. So I was just kind of wanting to do a video because these are fun for me. They're out one of my outlets. So appreciate y'all. Message me on Discord, comment on the video, whatever you want to know. Why do you think dual alignments are good? What kind of add to battles? Or hey, I'm actually wanting to see that add to battle tier video, or dominant, whatever it may be. And whatever you guys want to see, I'll make. So appreciate y'all. Bye.